Okay, so we're not going to resume because that again was for testing purposes, so we're just going to jump right in. Not going to do director's commentary because this is the first playthrough.
Dear Esther, the morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles, I felt as though everything had conspired to this one last shipwreck. I remembered nothing but water, stones in my belly and my shoes, threatening to drag me under to where only the most listless of creatures swim.
Okay. So all I've done thus far when I was testing was just kind of explore the house. So there was nothing in here, but at least here I have a flashlight. So both right click and left click will zoom. Don't have the ability to jump in this one either. And it looks like I also don't have the ability to sprint. So this ought to be interesting. And apparently like extremely slow, I would imagine. I don't think there's any kind of puzzles to solve in this. I think this is more linear than the previous game we just played. And since it's only supposed to be an hour, I'm hoping that it's not going to take long. I think the goal is to reach that lighthouse or that tower, whatever it is, in the distance. That's my understanding. I don't know that for certain. That's where I'm going. Oh, okay. Thought this was gonna take me somewhere. Guess I was wrong. I need to go down here. I don't know if I can die. I don't know if I can take fall damage. It appears so far, no. When I was testing, I did try walking in the water, and all that did was just bring me back to the beginning. I really hate the fact that I can't run, because this is gonna be god awful and slow. They're gonna make me walk everywhere. But as long as I don't have to do any real exploration and it's just gonna kind of lead me along through a story, then I guess I'm okay with that. So we'll go this way.
Those islands in the distance, I'm sure, are nothing more than relics of another time, sleeping giants, somnambulist gods laid down for a final dreaming. I wash the sand from my lips and grip my wrist ever more tightly. My shaking arms will not support my fading diaries.
Story appears to be very poetic in nature. Okay, that's an interesting design in the ground. What exactly it's supposed to mean, or if I'm supposed to take any meaning from it.
Dear Esther, I found myself to be as featureless as this ocean, as shallow and unoccupied as this bay, a listless wreck without identification. My rocks are these bones, and a careful fence to keep the precipice at bay. Shot through me caves, my forehead a mount. This aerial will transmit into me so. All overexposed, the nervous system, where Donnelly's boots and yours and mine still trample. I will carry a torch for you. I will leave it at the foot of my headstone. You will need it for the tunnels that carry me under.
All right. Alright, well, I have no idea where I'm supposed to go already. I thought I was supposed to just kind of go over here, but it looks like... just wailing away, and I have no idea why. But all this is just a car door. And I can't go any further. And I'm walking everywhere, so I really don't want to have to deal with like going somewhere and realizing, oh, this is not where I'm supposed to go, and then having to backtrack. That's going to be an immediate pile of suck if that's the case. Sprint. This is not off to a great start. This is an indication of what's to come. I'm almost wondering if this is supposed to be like a map. So already, like 10 minutes in, I'm lost. Can't remember. I want to say I came down that stairway, but maybe not. Maybe I need to go around here. Nope, that's where I came. Okay, let's go up the stairs then. Oh. I'm also trying to figure out, like, who Esther is, who I'm playing, who Donnelly is. This guy moves like molasses.
Groovy.
Hey buddy, how's it going? What is up, dude? Hello, Hellraiser. We are in the midst of our second game during our marathon. And this is Dear Esther, and I am apparently moving in slow freaking motion because this is so horrible. And I can't run, I can't sprint, I can't do anything. I only move at one speed. And this is pretty horrible.
A wonderful sight. The moon cresting the junction between the cliff path and the stone circle. It cast a shadow of the ridge across the beach, all the world as if you had signed your name in untidy handwriting.
Yep. And so far, I'm not sure I'm really caring for the story thus far. As I just mentioned, I think the tower in the distance there is my goal. This is supposed to be a pretty short game. Stop doing that. Cat wants me to feed her.
When someone
again.
had
It's like,
died
I
or was
already fed you.
dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this: to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
Odan wasn't
They were
looking at the screen.
God-fearing
Thought you
people,
were...
those shepherds. There was no love in the relationship. Donnelly tells me that they had one Bible that was passed around in strict rotation. It was stolen by a visiting monk in 1776, 2 years before the island was abandoned altogether. In the interim, I wonder, did they assign chapter and verse to the stones and grasses, marking the geography with a superimposed significance that they could actually walk the Bible and inhabit its contradictions.
You done? Can I talk now? I have a feeling this main character protagonist is going to be doing a lot of talking. So far, I haven't had to interact with anything. I feel this is literally just walking, the game. But no, I was not doing an accent. That is 100% the...
Dear Esther,
It's this
I
guy.
met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason, or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. I threw my arms wide and the cliff opened out before me, making this rough home. I transferred my belongings from the bothy on the mount and tried to live here instead. It was cold at night, and the sea lapped at the entrance at high tide. To climb the peak, I must first venture even deeper into the veins of the island, where the signals are blocked altogether. Only then will I understand them, when I stand on the summit and they flow into me, uncorrupted.
Oh, now we're, what, exploring a cave? Going through a cave? I'm not quite sure. And again, can't walk. Well, I can walk. It's the only thing I can do. I can walk. That's it. So everything doing is at a snail's pace. And so far I haven't found anything as far as the ability to interact. So I don't know. I feel like I'm just supposed to walk everywhere, but now I don't even see where the path continues. Unless that was the whole point, was just to go in the cave and then come out of the cave. Oh god, this guy moves so damn slow. Feel like he's gonna start talking again. Come on, say whatever you're gonna say. Wait for it. Okay, we're just walking then.
The vegetation here has fossilized from the roots up. To think they once grazed animals here, the remnants of occupation being evidence to that. It is all sick to death. The water is too polluted for the fish, the sky is too thin for the birds, and the soil is cut with the bones of hermits and shepherds. I've heard it said that human ashes make great fertilizer, that we could sow a forest from all that is left of your hips and ribcage, with enough left over to thicken the air and repopulate the bay.
Okay, so it's like a Stonehenge kind of deal here. Just gonna keep going. So far, this is kind of boring. Not gonna lie. At least Ethan Carter had some puzzle elements to it to, you know, keep things interesting. Though I can see why this game is so short, since it's basically just asking you to walk everywhere and just listen to him talk. So I think this game was tagged with walking simulator, so wouldn't be too surprising. Loading? What?
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my ordnance survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turnoff for Sanford and the welcome break services, but although I can always see it in my rearview mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
Walking simulator, the next big genre? Well, no. Apparently. This game is old. This game is, when was this made? 2012, I think? This is the Landmark Edition, which is their fancy way of saying that it was, slightly remastered. And I think that came out a year or two later. I was hoping there was going to be a little bit more than just walking, but that's kind of why I wanted to do games like this tonight, just kind of check them off my list, you know, get them off the backlog.
I've begun to wonder if Donnelly's voyage here was as prosaic as it was presented. How disappointed not to have found the bones of the holy man. No wonder he hated the inhabitants so. To him, they must have seemed like barnacles mindlessly clinging to a mercy seat. Why cling so hard to the rock? Because it is the only thing that stops us from sliding into the ocean, into oblivion.
This wouldn't be so bad if the things he had to say were more interesting, but he's basically talking in a language I call fart smelling. So he's like, I feel as if the guy would be looking down his nose at me as I'm playing. Can't jump, can't run, can only walk. This is really boring. Just gonna keep moving in the direction of that damn lighthouse, or that beacon, or whatever the hell that is.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
Fart smelling, or maybe gaseous guessing? There's not a lot of,
Is this what Paul saw through his windscreen? Not Lot's wife looking over her shoulder, but a scar in the hillside, falling away to black forever.
I don't think there's much guessing going on. Oh, maybe the house is the goal. Please tell me the house is the goal. I'm kind of ready for this game to be over already.
I've begun my ascent on the green slope of the western side. I've looked deep into the mountain from the shaft and understood that I must go up and then find the way under. I will stash the last vestiges of my civilization in the stone walls and work deeper from there. I'm drawn by the aerial and the cliff edge. There is some form of rebirth waiting for me there.
I won't lie. Playing this game is making me wish I had started the Surge tonight instead. But we will at least have this out of the way. And then we will start the Surge next Saturday.
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
Are you just taking a break from Xeno, whatever it is? Xenoblade Chronicles X, and in a manner of speaking, yes, I suppose. I decided, and I'm probably gonna get interrupted here by his babbling. I can only imagine. He'll just drone on and on and on. Trail's probably gonna continue somewhere down here. But anyway, I decided that what I'm gonna do is kind of keep some variety in what I play. Because after discovering when I started Xenoblade last week, that it was gonna be upwards of potentially like 100 hours to finish.
Jakobsen's ribcage, they told Donnelly, was deformed, the result of some birth defect or perhaps a traumatic injury as a child. Brittle and overblown it was, and desperately light. Perhaps it was this that finally did for him, unable to contain the shattering of his heart. In half-light, his skeleton a discarded prop, a false and calcified seabird.
But because I kind of evaluated my thoughts on when I finished Mass Effect.
They found Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. All around him, small flowers were reaching for the weak sun. The goats had adjusted happily to life without a shepherd and were grazing freely about the valley. Donnelly reports they hurled the body in fear and disgust down the shaft, but I cannot corroborate this story.
So when I finished Mass Effect, I felt like by the time I reached the end, I was kind of burnt out. And I think that has partially to do with the fact that, you know, most
Climbing down
gamers...
to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, wintered tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
And okay, that was supposed to happen. All right. Break his jaw as well. Yeah, I know.